Greetings, chess fans. I have yet another video to show to you. This is continuing my playlist inside the mind of a chess grandmaster. In these videos, I'm usually walking through my thought process, what I'm thinking during my own games that I play usually over the board. So I'm still following the Chess Rapid tournament. This was round number 5, and as you're gonna see, it's gonna be a clash of two long-term strategies between two grandmasters of approximately same strength. Hope you're gonna find the video instructive. Enjoy. So this was game number 5, round number 5 of the Chess Rapid tournament. I have 4 points out of 4, and I'm facing a fellow grandmaster from Lithuania. His name is Valery Kazakowski. So I know Valery for quite a bit, some time, and he is, I think, in the circuit, one of the friendliest GMs that I know. So originally from Belarus, he moved to Lithuania some years ago. He reached about 2600 elo. Very, very kind grandmaster. And I always have a lot of pleasure to play against him. And we're fighting out who is going to take the lead in the tournament. So this is the pre-history. And in the previous game that I played against Valery, I beat him. This was, I think it was the Swedish Team Chess Championships. By the way, the video is available on my YouTube channel. It was some sort of a weird Italian game. Very, very crazy game that turned out to be some sort of a King's Indian defense. And I won the game. So let's proceed. He opened up with d4. So I was thinking, what should I do? Should I play something very ambitious or something solid? Like, I am a big expert of the Leningrad, right? So I can play a 5. But I decided to play knight f6 and see what happens. He played bishop g5 to Trumpovsky. And you know, Trumpovsky, I think it's not getting as much recognition as it should, because it has pretty much the same vibes as the London. And it's very tricky. So I played e6, and I was quite relieved that Valery played e4, which I don't think is the trickiest move. I think knight e2 is much more interesting, because you want to play it like the London, like e3, f4, c3 is some Dutch stonewall from White's perspective, where White immediately fixes the problem of the bad bishop, and then he is looking for this easy kingside attack. Yeah, and of course Levy also plays the Trumpovsky as well. That's absolutely correct. So for example, here there's one line, like I play h6, I play d5, c5, c3, and it feels like a London, right? So that's why for me, when I saw e4, it's like, this is very easy game for me, because now I play h6, he takes an f6, queen takes an f6, and this is very often where there's a clash of styles between two players. So what Kazakowski is saying, he has the center, right? So he has also my queen standing on f6, which perhaps is not ideal. So he's hoping, because of the center, fight for some advantage. What I'm saying is, I recognize that, but I have two bishops. And this means in the long run, the position is going to open up. And when it's going to open up, my two bishops should start to make a difference, like this bishop in f8. And even though this is not super obvious from the very beginning, but very often at the competitive chess, this is one of the big secrets. I mean, it's not really a secret, especially since I have said it multiple times on my channel. The two bishops are one of the most important minimal advantages any competitive player is trying to get out of the opening. So he plays c3, I play d6. Actually, black here has a number of pretty decent choices. Like I can play d5, c5. I'm just doing great. I get an IQP, an isolated queen's pawn on d5. No big deal. Like black is doing perfectly fine. I also could play something like knight c6 with an idea to push e5 immediately. d5 and even go back, knight b8 with an idea continue bishop c5, d6, a6, save the bishop on c5 into future lines to a7. And I'm playing basically an ideal Italian game from the black's perspective. So there's like many choices, but recently I've been playing the setup with d6. It has not failed me, so I did not really see any reason to change it. You play bishop d3, e5, and knight e2. And I try to recall very quickly which games I have played here recently, and the only ones that came to my mind is I have played this a couple of times against Estonian Grandmaster Neiksans. And maybe on my YouTube channel, there's even been some videos about it. To be honest, I don't immediately recall, but against Melis, this is something I have played a couple of times. And White's idea is to go for a quick short castle, play f4, try to exploit by positioning of the queen on f6, and somehow, develop a swift kingside attack. So I play g6 just because I remember the theory here. Short castle, bishop g7, f4, and I play queen e7. Now, I'm wasting time, but the thing is, I want to play short castle, I want to play knight e7, knight f6, and if my memory is not failing me, I don't think that there's something that White can do about it. So I could not really recall any specific lines, but ultimately my big idea at the right moment is to play castles, maybe play this knight e7, knight f6, or think about ideas like taking on d4, playing c5, and guess what? I'm trying to open up this Darksword bishop that White does not have. So I have a trump, and that is the Darksword bishop. So I intend to use it, even though at the moment White controls the center. So he played knight e2, I played short castle, he played f5. I mean, it kind of makes sense because he has two knights, so he's more interested to close the position rather than opening it. I play knight e7. To be honest, here I was not even looking at takes on d4, c takes on d4, and c5, which probably feels correct because I'm strictly following the plan of opening my Darksword bishop, but I'm also underdeveloped. So I should be very careful about these things, like he could take on g6, he could give some, some check on c4, he could take on f8, he could play, some e5 or something, and he's suddenly opening up the position very quickly while my entire queenside is sleeping. So even though I want to open up the position because I have two bishops, I have to look for the best timing. It doesn't feel right. Even though maybe e5 is not really a big deal, it just feels that I'm playing with fire. So I want to open up the position, but the timing has to be right. So I played knight e7, and I had some, again, vague memory of some games where White played like this. I think it was some check. There was some sort of a capture on a fate. I think it was something like this, and this. And White is unable to do anything to exploit his lead in development. I'm gonna get out my pieces, and I will be doing great. So I have played some games on this line. He played e5, which Engine marks as a mistake, but during the game I thought it's a pretty human move because, again, it follows strictly the same philosophy. He has two knights, I have two bishops, he's trying to lock the position. Engine says here White has to play knight f3, but now I would take on d4. I could even take on f5, and after knight f6, now this is a very double-edged position because my king is a bit weak, but this bishop on g7 has a potential to become a monster. I don't see an immediate attack for White, and if I get queens off the board, I have a chance to use my bishop pair in the later part of the game. So by the way, here Stockfish says the position is just equal. White has nothing. I would just say it's unbalanced. So he played e5, I play knight f6, he played knight g3, and I play h5. So this move h5, by the way, here maybe you're wondering why I'm not completing my development. So my bishop on c8 is not doing anything, the rook on a8 is not doing anything, so it basically is asking for some sort of a bishop d7, rook e8, and see what happens, right? Well, I don't think so, because I am very often strictly following the rule of the universal moves. And this is a rule I'm always bringing up in my videos and my streams. I believe that you should be developing the pieces or touching pieces that you know for sure you have to put them on that square. The thing about bishop d7, I don't really see what is going to change for me. Like, I'm going to play bishop d7, I'm going to play rook e8, and what? And what? What did those two moves change for me? So I think that I also want to avoid a scenario when I'm making the so-called checkmark moves. Like, I'm developing the moves, developing the pieces because I'm supposed to develop the pieces. But at the same time, I quite do not understand why I'm doing it, right? So I was briefly thinking about the idea to play c6, to fight for the center. So he will play c4. And again, I just didn't really see what I'm going to do next. Like, I could take on d5. I'm strictly following the rule to open up the position. But then what? So I will play maybe bishop d7. He will play queen b3. He is supposed to play at the queen side because this is where he can generate targets. Hit a pawn on b7. Let's say I go here. Maybe he's going to start to organize some plan where he gets to play against my bad bishop on g7. Like, I don't think it's really bad, but the point is, didn't I just help white to organize a counterplay at the queen side? That's why. That's why we go back right here. And I start with the move h5. Because I realized I have no business at the queen side. And this position, it looks like some sort of a King's Indian defense position. So I'm thinking about moves like bishop h6, activate with ducks with bishop, see what happens. And maybe, just maybe, I could play h4, take on f5, get a pawn on d5, and create some unbalances in the center. So this part I think is pretty logical. Also, I enable some knight g4 and queen h4 ideas. So I think that h5, even though I'm supposedly weakening my king, actually I think I'm gaining quite a bit of in return. And this also might be a surprise for the viewers who are watching this and saying, listen, but you're not supposed to touch the pawns in front of your king, right? No, actually it's quite the opposite. So this will be the part of a larger discussion, the so-called pawn play, and even the pawns in front of your king sometimes are necessary to be used to generate some play. So when somebody tells you do not touch the pawns in front of your king, this is a very beginner advice. You're not weakening the king. And when you start to think at the next level, you realize you actually need to use those pawns. And this is actually what I'm doing many times with my students. Part of the pawn play discussions is involving the pawns in front of your king. So he played queen e1. And I'm thinking, is this the position where I can follow the simple improving moves? And this is also the mantra I keep repeating to my students, and it goes like this. When you don't know what to do, you can always improve your pieces. So, I could play king h7 just to improve my king safety. I could play bishop h6. I could play bishop d7. I could play rook g8, double the rooks at the g file, right? Rook g7, rook g8, try to organize some counterplay at the g file. If he takes on g6, oh, this is like the perfect King's Indian defense position where now I think it's becoming quite apparent that white enjoys some doctrinal weaknesses. Remember the opening phase? Remember this moment? Now, this is exactly what I was aiming for at the very opening, because I'm hoping to get a position where my dogs for bishop is gonna rock and roll the weakened dog squares. So, but here suddenly something happened. So I'm playing this game, and I understand I should play king h7. And I cannot resist. I cannot resist to play something more interesting. And why is that? Because I'm a content creator. And this is actually a blessing and a curse at the same time. Like, when I was a professional, purely, strictly professional, about 5 years ago, I would just play king h7 to bishop h6 without thinking. Like, this would be no-brainer to me. Now, whenever I'm in those situations, I'm thinking about something more spicier. So I think it has something to do with the content creation. Like, every single game that I'm playing is a story. I can tell to my students, I can tell to my audience. So that's why I decided, whatever. Let me just play h4. Let me just play h4 and try to spicy things up. And my idea was that if he is going to play knight e2, I'm going to take on f5, and I'm creating some unbalances in the center. So what I was not really sure, is he going to play knight e2 or knight h1? Like, he could go knight h1, targeting the pawn on h4. I was thinking I could play h3. I mean, weaken his king side. Let's say g3 or g takes on h3. I don't think it really matters. I take on f5, he takes on f5, and I can take on d5. But already from the very beginning, I was very cautious. Because I thought, let's say in this scenario, if I take it, and let's say he takes it, I don't think I can even take the pawn on d5. Because it looks very dangerous. Like, if I take this pawn, I was thinking there could be ideas like, let's say f6. He plays knight f6. Let's say he plays queen h4. He plays knight e4. I'm about to get mated here, no? It feels incredibly risky for me, even though I have the extra pawn. So I was thinking, okay. Like, this is probably risky, and if I play bishop takes on f6, now I need to watch out for some queen e4 idea at the right moment. And I'll be dead. So what if he plays something like, I don't know, knight g3? Etc. Right? So anyway, when I was going for this position, my idea was not to win the pawn on d5, but play e4 later. So that's why after g takes on f5, I was thinking if he's going to play e takes on f5, I'm going to play e4. Open up the bishop on g7, and now we have this. And for some reason, I convinced me that this position is looking very promising, and instead I decided to go here, but not, if you go back to this position a couple of moves ago, to this position, which feels very much under control for black. So, long story short, I decided to gamble, I decided to play h4, decided to take on f5, and he trusted me. Now, this was a bit weird moment, because I thought he had to go here, e takes on f5, considering my knight cannot move from f6, because f5, f6, pawn sack with some knight e4 and queen h4 ideas gives white a pretty terrific initiative. And he took on h4. So, I don't know what was the cause of this move. I was also pretty surprised after the game. I thought that he simply blundered knight e5, which is a very common maneuver, this so-called triangle. Knight takes on d5, and knight e7, I protect the queen. And I quit the queen on h4, and he cannot take my knight on d5. Very, very famous maneuver. And I thought he only was calculating something like f takes on e4, but after the game, he said to me he saw this. Which was quite a bit surprised to me, because I felt that with a pawn on d5 gone for white, let's say he plays queen h5, I play knight f6, he plays queen f3, I play f4, I thought I'm definitely better here. Like, his pieces here stand pretty weirdly, and I don't think he's going to have the time to play g3 because of some bishop g4 ideas and bishop h6 and knight h5 ideas. At least that's what I thought so. And he took on e7. And instantly here, I felt I'm better. Because after takes on e7, he takes on e5, I simply play f6. That's it. I control the center. He cannot stop me from playing d5. I'm going to strengthen with the pawn on c6. This bishop is going to go to h6. Notice the bishop on c8 not moving an inch. Do you remember what I told you? I do not know what to do with this bishop. I still don't know, because there's far more important things happening right now. So he played g4. I think it makes sense to support a pawn here on f5. I play d5. He plays c4. I include bishop h6. So again, I'm strictly following the rule is I make the moves that I'm sure about. I'm improving my pieces. He played rook d1. I play c6 just to control the e4 square, because the last thing I want to do, I don't want to play d4 here, because you might think these are two strong connected pass pawns in the center, right? But he plays knight e4. Look at these beasts. And now when we look at this position, somehow it doesn't even feel that black has those two extra pawns at the center. On the contrary, I think it's going to be white who is going to play knight g3, h4, g5. Because he has literally every single piece positioned where it has to be. So that's why it's of paramount importance for me to play c6 to control the e4 square. And I'm thinking at the right moment to play e4. So as you can see, there's a clash. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to control the center and limit his pieces. What he's trying to do, he's trying to fix my pawns, which is something I'm not going to allow him to do. So he took on d5, he played knight c3, I played bishop d7. So very quickly I had to calculate, can he, before playing bishop d7, can he play knight takes on d5 and play bishop c4? With an idea that now he plays knight e4, includes the rook, and also wants to play knight c3, exploit the pin on the diagonal. So I had to see this, but I have rook d8, knight c3, and very important, bishop e3 check here at bishop d4. So I saw this, and that's why this was pretty critical moment, because I thought if I'm going to manage to put the bishop on c6, secure the pawn on d5, which in return controls the e4 square, I will secure my advantage. He played knight b3. He's looking for some ways in. Knight c5, knight e6, I suppose. I play bishop c6. He cannot do this because there's a check on e3. So he went after the bishop. And this, I think, also is going to be something where the club level players are definitely going to benefit from this video, from this analysis, because remember what I told you at the very beginning. My opponent played the Trompovsky. I gave up the center to get the bishop pair. And what did I tell? I told you that my idea is to use the bishop advantage in the long run, because I'm going to open up the position, I'm going to control the dark squares, and those two bishops, they're going to reign supreme. It rings a bell, right? And now suddenly I'm allowing the bishop to be traded. Why? What happened? So did I forget about my plan to go for the two bishop advantage? No. Now this is something that happens many times in high-level chess games. You have to be very adaptive to the situation. And something happened that I could not have predicted after the opening phase, which is, after these complications, I got a strong center, and this means my priorities shift. So even though now I was supposed to keep the bishop pair and then control the center, etc., from my experience, you have to be adaptive, and I think having the strong center which restricts white's pieces is far more important than going for the supposed mythical two bishop advantage. So I hope that makes sense. So what I'm saying is that there are players who fail in such situations. It's like, I got the bishop advantage and I'm gonna try to get to the very end game with two pawns that are backed by two bishops, and no, I will never ever trade the bishops. This is also wrong. So you have to be very adaptive. So I just played for the strong center. And this is also one of the games that I was not entirely sure if I remember correctly after the game, because I played the entire tournament in one day. 9 games of rapid time control, 10 minutes plus 5, I think. There was no digital boards. So what I did in the evening, I was very tired, obviously, after the dinner. I input all the games on my phone, and I tried to recall every single game. And this was the one game I was, for some reason, not entirely sure about what was the move order my opponent played it out, but I think in the end I managed to restore it more or less correctly. So he played bishop e2, trying to apply some pressure against the pawn on d5. I give a check. I play king g7, so I'm continuing to improve my pieces. He played here. I played rook h8. At the moment, I was not really sure if there's going to be some counterattack at the h file, so I was thinking, just in case, let me just improve my pieces. Maybe I'm going to play rook h7, rook h8, maybe bishop f4, maybe e4. We'll see what happens. So again, I'm strictly following the rule is when you don't know what to do, always improve your pieces. And this is what I'm doing. So he played b4. He's supposed to organize a counterplay. And there was a moment when I suddenly got pretty scared. So I played bishop d4. And immediately, as soon as I played it, oh wait, he can sacrifice on d4. I mean, he can take on d4 right now. He can take on d4. Oh, sorry. Where's the button? Yeah, he can take on d4. He takes on d4, 92, 94, and 96. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what did I just do? So I was a bit unhappy that I made this move. So my idea originally was, I wanted to push back the knight from c3. So he goes here, I play bishop b6, stop playing him any b5 ideas. If he takes on c6, I play b takes on c6, and I'm trying to restrict these pieces while having a strong center. Which, to be honest, I think it's still not very clear how large of an advantage I have. Probably I have some advantage, but I wouldn't really exaggerate. How much is it? And he took on d4, and I was very lucky, actually, that after e takes on d4, 92, I have bishop b5. So I blundered the idea. I mean, as soon as I played bishop d4, I noticed he can exchange sacrifice on d4, and I'm just in time to play bishop b5, and he cannot play knight takes on d4. And what makes it more curious that even after knight takes on b7, I had rook b8, and his pawn on b4 is indirectly attacked. And after the game, Valerie said that maybe he rushed with knight takes on b7. But again, I don't think he should be very critical of himself, because he was, I think, at the moment like below 1 minute, and I had maybe 4 or 5. That's why I was very unhappy that I, in a dominating position, I played bishop d4, clearly not anticipating an exchange sacrifice. And you know what? This is pretty much the level of GMs. GMs are trained to see positional sacrifices for their opponents. And I think very often this is what IMs don't have. So they're playing pretty well themselves. Like, I mean, I'm speaking generally. Like general understanding. What's the difference between IMs and GMs? So IMs are pretty good at spotting things. They sacrifice exchanges, they calculate well, etc. But I have noticed very often they're not very good at spotting positional sacrifices for the opponent. So you have to work essentially 85% of your time on your opponent's moves. But again, listen, this was still a rapid game. right? So anybody could make this mistake, even Magnus Carlsen. So rook takes on d4, knight e2. I was very lucky for bishop b5. And now the position simplified because I get to kill his annoying knight. He gave me a check, and I took on b4. And when we got to this position, if we count the material, I have an extra exchange. The position is still a bit unclear. My king is safe. He has the knight on d6, but I don't think it really does me any harm. So I should just watch out for some, I don't know, some inspired g5 stuff, and maybe he organizes the passed pawn. But I have ideas like rook b2 and d3, and I really wanted to trade the rooks. This is what I wanted. So he went here. I tried to trade rooks, or trade the d pawn. In the hindsight, I was a bit unhappy that I allowed him to trade off my d pawn. So maybe I should have played something like knight c6, put the knight on e5, and play d3. So I was not really sure. And I played here. I took the pawn on a2. And now this was a time scramble. I gave a check on a3. I don't remember. Yeah, he didn't play bishop f3 because of rook d3. And I want to play knight c6 and knight e5, trade off some pieces. So I think that he's very close to be dead lost in a couple of moves. And that's why he was, again, working a lot, thinking about against me, what I'm planning to do. He played king f4 and showed a very strong understanding of high-level chess, that he could give up the pawn on h2, going for the activity. I think this was very high-level stuff. And what happened here is that I don't have a final moves for the game. And a couple of moves later, like 4 or 5 moves later, he blundered the bishop. Somehow. I don't remember how it happened. I made a pin that he could not defend against, and I won the game. So I think around here I had maybe 30 seconds. He had maybe 20 seconds. And again, we're playing with a 5-second increment. I have an extra exchange, but it's not super obvious. Exchange and a pawn, by the way, because he has a lot of activity. And I think this was a very powerful idea from him, playing this king f4. And if I could have done things a bit better, it was definitely this moment that I should have understood that a pawn on d4 should be kept alive, that I have to play knight c6 and knight e5. But again, at the same time, this knight on e6 was annoying me. I always got to keep an eye on some g5 stuff. Let's say I go knight c6. What happens if I'm missing at the right moment some g5 and knight g5, the a pawn rolls forward. So I would have to calculate very clearly, without any assumptions, in seconds. Anyway, the game finished successfully for me, and I won the game. And this allowed me to secure my lead in the tournament with 5 points out of 5 and 4 rounds to go.